What if I told you that when attackers breach a network, Active Directory is their first target? Because owning it means owning everything. And what if I told you that building this system yourself is the only way to truly understand how to defend it against those attacks? Welcome back to Tech Sky. Last week we covered Active Directory fundamentals and how authentication protocols like Kerberos and NTLM actually work. Today we're building that system from scratch. By the end of this lab, you'll have a fully functional Active Directory environment with a domain controller, a joined Windows 10 workstation, and test user accounts. This is the foundation for everything we'll secure in Part 2. Let's build it. First, we need Windows Server. Open your browser and search for Windows Server 2019. The first link from Microsoft Evaluation Center is what we want. Scroll down a bit until you see the Get Started section. There's a Download the ISO link there. A trial registration page opens where you'll enter your required information. Once you've filled that out and scrolled down, the Download button appears. Go ahead and proceed to the download page, then click on the 64-bit edition ISO option. The download starts immediately. This is about 5 gigabytes, so it'll take some time depending on your connection speed. While that downloads, let me explain what we're building today. Active Directory requires a domain controller. This is the central server that manages authentication, user accounts, permissions, and security policies for the entire domain. Domain controllers run Windows Server, not Windows 10. Server editions are designed for centralized management and authentication services, which is why we need this specific ISO. Once your download completes, we're ready to create the virtual machine. Fire up VirtualBox. You'll see all our previous virtual machines from earlier weeks. For Active Directory Labs, we won't be using the Ubuntu machines, so you can back them up if you're facing storage constraints. We're creating a new machine specifically for our domain controller. Click on New at the top. Name it something like Windows-DC, or whatever you prefer. The VM folder can stay as default. For the ISO image, browse to where you saved the Windows Server ISO we just downloaded. Make sure to uncheck Skip Unattended Installation. We want full control over the setup process, rather than letting VirtualBox automate things we need to configure manually. Move to the next section where we specify virtual hardware. I'll set RAM to 4096 megabytes. That's 4 gigabytes, which gives the server enough memory to run smoothly. Set CPUs to 2 cores, which provides adequate processing power. The next section asks about the virtual hard disk. I'll set this to 60 gigabytes, which gives us plenty of room for the operating system, Active Directory database, and future configurations. Once you've set these values, click Finish. Our domain controller virtual machine is now created. Now start the virtual machine. After a moment, Windows Setup opens. Specify your language, time format, and keyboard layout according to your preferences. Click Next to move forward. Now hit Install. The setup then asks which version to install. Choose Windows Server 2019 Standard Evaluation Desktop Experience. We're picking this version because the GUI makes learning Active Directory concepts easier. Server Core is command line only and used in production for better security and performance, but the graphical interface helps us understand what's happening during configuration. After choosing that option, click Next again. Accept the license terms and move forward. Choose the Custom Install Windows Only option, which is the advanced installation. You'll see Drive 0 is already selected. That's our 60 gigabyte virtual disk. Go ahead and click Next to start the installation. This takes 10 to 15 minutes depending on your system's performance. I'll fast forward through this waiting period. After installation finishes, the server restarts automatically. When it comes back up, you're prompted to create an administrator password. This is the built-in administrator account for the local server before we configure the domain. Set a complex password using a mix of uppercase letters, lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. Confirm it and finish up. Now it asks you to press Ctrl plus Alt plus Delete to unlock the screen. Since we're in a VM, press right Ctrl plus Delete instead to unlock. The login screen appears where you can enter the password you just set. The main desktop opens after successful authentication. Windows might ask if you want this PC to be discoverable by other devices on the network. Click No for now. Server Manager opens automatically. This is Windows Server's central management console, where you can add roles, configure networking, and manage the server. We'll be using this extensively today. We need to make 2 quick configuration changes before proceeding further. Now shut down the virtual machine. Open the virtual machine settings in VirtualBox. Head over to the storage section. You'll see the Windows Server ISO is still attached as a virtual CD drive. Remove this carefully. Don't modify anything else in this section. If you leave the ISO attached, the machine will loop back to the installation process on the next boot. Next, navigate to the Network tab. Change Adapter 1 to Host-Only Adapter. Make sure the adapter name matches the same adapter used by our other virtual machines from previous weeks. This ensures all our lab machines exist on the same internal network and can communicate with each other. Once you've verified this, save the settings. Now we'll start pfSense first. Remember that pfSense is our network firewall from week 3. Once it's running and showing the main menu, minimize it and keep it running in the background. It needs to stay active because it's providing network services to our other machines. Now start the Windows DC machine again. Enter the password you set during installation. Server Manager opens automatically. Navigate over to the local server section in the left pane. Notice the computer name. It's displaying some random default name that was assigned during installation. We need to change this to something meaningful for our Active Directory environment. Click on the computer name, and the System Properties window opens. Hit the Change button to modify it. Set the computer name to DC01. That stands for Domain Controller 01. In enterprise environments with multiple domain controllers, you'd name them sequentially like DC01, DC02, DC03. This naming convention makes it clear what role each server plays. Confirm the change. A warning appears stating that the computer must restart to apply the new name. Acknowledge this and close the System Properties window. Click Restart Now. After the restart completes and Server Manager opens again, head back to Local Server. Now let's configure the network settings properly. Domain controllers need static IP addresses, so other machines can reliably find them for authentication. If the IP changes, authentication fails across the entire domain. Click on where it says IPv4, address assigned by DHCP. The Network Connections window opens, showing your network adapter. Right-click on Ethernet and choose Properties from the context menu. Find Internet Protocol version 4 in the list and click on it. Then hit Properties to open the configuration dialog. Choose the option for Use the following IP address. Now we'll configure the static settings. The IP address will be 0.10 on our network. That's our domain controller's permanent address. The subnet mask is standard for this network. Default gateway is 0.254. That's our pfSense firewall routing traffic to the internet. Now for DNS settings. Set preferred DNS to loopback. That's pointing to this server itself. Once we install Active Directory, this server becomes a DNS server and needs to query itself first. Alternate DNS points to the gateway as fallback. Confirm these settings and close all windows. Let's verify connectivity before proceeding. Right-click the Start button and open Windows PowerShell. Type ipconfig and press Enter. Verify that the IP address displays as 0.10. Now type ping and then the gateway address. You should see successful replies. That confirms internal network connectivity. Now type ping to Google's public DNS server. If you see successful replies, that confirms internet connectivity through pfSense is working. Close PowerShell. Our server now has a meaningful name and properly configured network settings. The next major step is promoting it to a domain controller. Open Server Manager again. Go up to Manage at the top menu and click on Add Roles and Features. The installation wizard opens. Click through the Before You Begin informational page. Role-based or feature-based installation should already be selected. Move forward. The server DC01 appears as the destination server. Click Next again. Now we choose which server roles to install. Check the box for Active Directory domain services. A pop-up appears immediately asking to add required features and management tools. Click Add Features to include everything needed. Continue through the wizard. The Features page appears next. We don't need to select any additional Windows features at this point. Keep moving forward. An informational page about Active Directory domain services appears. Review this if you want, then click Next. Finally, hit Install to begin. The installation process takes 2 to 3 minutes. Windows is installing the Active Directory software binaries, PowerShell modules, and supporting components. However, this doesn't actually configure the domain yet. Installing the role just puts the software on the server. The actual domain configuration is a separate step. Once the installation bar completes, close the wizard. Notice the flag icon at the top of Server Manager now has a yellow warning triangle on it. Click on this flag. You'll see a notification that says, "Promote this server to a domain controller." This is the critical next step. Click on it to launch the Active Directory Domain Services Configuration Wizard. The deployment configuration screen appears first. Since we're setting everything up from scratch, select Add a new forest. In the root domain name field, define your domain by entering cdmdc.local. The .local suffix indicates that this is a private, internal domain, rather than a public internet domain. For a lab environment, this naming works well and clearly represents a test setup. Click Next to continue. The Domain Controller Options screen appears with several important settings. The Forest Functional Level and Domain Functional Level are both set to Windows Server 2016 by default. These determine which Active Directory features are available. The defaults are fine for our purposes. All the checkboxes for DNS Server and Global Catalog are already selected, which is correct. The critical field here is the Directory Services Restore Mode password, abbreviated as DSRM. This is a special recovery password used if Active Directory becomes corrupted and you need to boot the server into restore mode. It's completely separate from your normal administrator password. Set a strong password here, confirm it, and move forward. The DNS options screen appears with a delegation warning. This appears because we're creating the very first DNS server in this domain. There's no parent DNS zone to delegate to. This is completely normal and expected. The warning can be safely ignored. Click Next to continue. The additional options screen shows the NetBIOS domain name. NetBIOS is a legacy naming system for backward compatibility. The wizard automatically fills this in as CDMDC based on our domain name. Accept this and keep moving. The path screen shows where Active Directory will store its database, log files, and sysvol folder. Sysvol stores group policy and scripts. The default paths are fine for our lab. Move forward. The Review Options screen presents a summary of everything we've configured. This is your last chance to verify everything is correct. Assuming everything looks good, go ahead and proceed. The Prerequisites check now runs. This validates that the server meets all requirements for becoming a domain controller. You'll see items with check marks and some yellow warnings. These warnings are normal for a lab environment. They're about DNS delegation and various settings that would need adjustment in production. What matters is that there are no red errors. Warnings are acceptable. Assuming you only see warnings and checks, click Install. The installation and promotion process now begins. This takes 5 to 7 minutes. During this time, Active Directory creates the domain database, configures DNS zones, and sets up replication infrastructure. When the installation completes, the server automatically restarts. The restart is necessary because Active Directory made fundamental changes to how the server operates. Just close the sign out prompt and let it restart. After the restart finishes, Look at the login screen. Instead of just saying administrator, it displays cdmdc/administrator. That backslash notation means we're authenticating to the domain, not just to the local machine. This is your first confirmation that the domain promotion succeeded. Enter your password and log in. Server Manager opens automatically. Look at the dashboard view. You'll see Active Directory domain services listed with a green icon. That indicates the role is installed, running, and functioning correctly. This is confirmation number 2. Now let's verify the installation using the management tools. Click on Tools from the top menu. Choose Active Directory Users and Computers. This is the primary management console for AD administration. It opens displaying the domain tree structure. Expand the cdmdc.local node. You'll see several default containers. The built-in container holds default security groups. The computers container is where computer accounts are placed when they join the domain. The domain controllers container holds only domain controller computer accounts. The users container stores user accounts and groups. Click on the domain controllers container. You should see DC01 listed inside. That's our server, confirmed as a domain controller. This is verification number 3. Close the ADUC console. Open the Tools menu again and choose DNS. The DNS Manager console opens. Click on DC01 to expand the tree. Double-click on Forward Lookup Zones. Inside, you should see a zone named cdmdc.local. This DNS zone enables computers to resolve our domain name to IP addresses. If you expand, you'll see DNS records that were created automatically. These enable clients to find domain services. Close the DNS Manager. Now let's verify using PowerShell. Type get-ad domain and press Enter. This queries the Active Directory domain object and returns comprehensive information. You'll see the domain name, forest name, functional levels, and many other properties. This confirms Active Directory is responding correctly. Now type get-ad domain controller and run it. This displays DC01 along with its IP address, site, operational status, and operations master roles. Everything should show our server functioning as expected. Finally, type nslookup cdmdc.local and execute it. This performs a DNS query for our domain name. It should resolve to our domain controller address. This confirms DNS is working, and clients will be able to find the domain controller by name. Now we're ready to join our Windows 10 machine to this domain. Start up the Windows 10 virtual machine. Log in using your local account credentials. Once you're at the desktop, open the Start menu and head to Settings. Navigate to the Network and Internet section. From there, click on Change Adapter Options. The Network Connections window opens. Right-click on the Ethernet adapter and choose Properties. Find Internet Protocol version 4 and click on it. Then hit Properties. The critical setting here is DNS. For a computer to join a domain, it must be able to resolve the domain name, and the domain controller is the DNS server. Change the preferred DNS server to point to our domain controller. The alternate DNS can point to the gateway as backup. Confirm these changes and close all the network configuration windows. Let's test DNS resolution. Open Windows PowerShell. Type nslookup cdmdc.local and press Enter. If DNS is configured correctly, it should resolve our domain name to the domain controller address. If you see the correct result, DNS is working. Close PowerShell. We're ready for the domain join. Right-click the Start button and click on System. On the left side, choose Advanced System Settings. The System Properties window opens. Navigate to the Computer Name tab. Currently, this computer is part of a workgroup. We need to change this to domain membership. Hit the Change button. Choose the domain option and type cdmdc.local in the text field. Click OK. A credentials dialog appears asking for an account with permission to join computers to the domain. Type the username as cdmdc/administrator. That backslash notation specifies we're authenticating against the CDMDC domain. Enter the domain controller administrator password and click OK. If everything is configured correctly, a welcome message appears stating, "Welcome to the cdmdc.local domain." Success. Click OK. Another message explains that the computer must restart to complete the join. Confirm this and close the System Properties window. Hit Restart now. After the restart completes, the login screen changes. You'll see your local account still listed, but now there's also an Other User option. Click on Other User. Look at the bottom. It says, Sign in to CDMDC. That confirms this machine is now authenticating against the domain. However, we don't have any domain user accounts yet besides administrator. Let's create a standard user account. Switch back to the DC01 virtual machine. Open Server Manager. Go to Tools and click on Active Directory Users and Computers. In the cdmdc.local domain tree, right-click on the user's container. From the context menu, choose New, then click on User. A user creation dialog appears. Set the first name to John. Set last name to Doe. The user logon name is what this user will type when logging in. Enter J. Doe. Click Next. Enter a password for this account. Confirm it. By default, user must change password at next logon is checked. For our lab, uncheck this. Also check the box for password never expires. In production, passwords should expire periodically for security, but in a lab, it's convenient to disable expiration. Click Next, then hit Finish. Click User's Container. John Doe should now appear in the list. We've successfully created our first domain user account. Switch back to the Windows 10 virtual machine. You're at the Other User login screen. Enter the username J. Doe. Type the password you set. Click Sign In. Windows displays a message about setting up the profile. After this completes, the desktop appears. We're now logged in as a domain user. Let's verify using PowerShell. Type Who am I and press Enter. You should see cdmdc/J. Doe. That confirms we're authenticated as a domain user, not a local account. Now type nltest/ds get dc:/cdmdc.local and run it. This queries which domain controller authenticated our logon. It returns DC01 with the domain information. This proves the authentication happened against our domain controller. Let's perform final verification from the domain controller. Switch back to Windows Server. Open PowerShell. Type get-ad user J. Doe and press Enter. This queries Active Directory for the user account. It displays John Doe's distinguished name, SID, enabled status. This confirms the account exists and is functioning. Now type get-ad computer-filter * and run it. This queries all computer accounts in the domain. You should see DC01 and your Windows 10 machine listed. Both computers appear with their distinguished names showing where they exist in the directory. This confirms the domain join succeeded, and Active Directory recognizes both machines. We've now built a complete Active Directory domain from the ground up. We have a functioning domain controller running DNS and authentication services. We have a Windows 10 workstation successfully joined and authenticating. We have a test user account that can log into domain machines. Everything is working exactly as it should. Before we proceed to security hardening, capture the current state with snapshots. Next time, we'll implement the enterprise-grade security controls that defend against attacks. We'll configure group policy security baselines, implement credential protection mechanisms, and enable advanced auditing that detects attacks in real time. That's where we transform this basic domain into a hardened enterprise environment. If you found this demonstration valuable, hit that like button and hype the video. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a security tutorial. Share this with anyone studying for SOC Analyst roles or learning enterprise security. In the comments, tell me about your experience with Active Directory. Until then, this is Tech Sky, your ultimate battleground of cybersecurity and ethical hacking.